So, LSU, man, I just finished watching them get slaughtered by Alabama. I've never seen a better hype video than what the LSU creative team put out. So shout out to them, props to them, for real, for real. For those who don't know, my work is in post-production when I'm not doing YouTube videos. So I do appreciate the greatness of young creatives around the sports universe. Anyways, I've never been more excited for an LSU Alabama game since 2011 when the final score was 9-6 in overtime. And not even Cole Tracy could save this LSU Tiger team. It could have been 29-10. It easily could have been 29-10, and I would have been satisfied with that score. But the fact that Cole Tracy missed his first field goal all season, and then Joe Burrow throws an interception in garbage time. Mary J. Blige taught me better than this. I'm not going to cry over this. You know why I'm not going to cry over this? Because LSU was not supposed to be this good this season, okay? If you look at LSU and Miami, which are the two schools that I love most dearly in college football, LSU is playing the way I thought Miami would play this season. Miami is playing the way I thought LSU would play this season. That is saying a hell of a lot. If you look at the schedules of all the FBS teams, LSU had the 10th toughest schedule all season. They had to play Florida. They had to play Georgia, Mississippi State, Alabama. They still have Texas A&M. I'm not going to rule Texas A&M out, even though they are struggling more than I thought they would this season. I'm not going to rule them out. But we knew that Alabama was going to be an extremely tough opponent. The one thing I will say about LSU, even though they struggled offensively for sure, and even though the defense was solid, but Alabama was a lot more solid as a system, they held Alabama to 29 points. No one has been able to do that all season. I think the next closest team was Mizzou, and I want to say they held Alabama to 40 points? 39 points. Still, LSU was able to hold Alabama to 29 points. So that is actually very impressive, just considering Alabama's system all season and the way that Tua has been throwing the ball. I think he'll be the first unanimous Heisman winner. If there hasn't been one yet, Tua deserves it most definitely. I keep switching arms and I don't want to go get my tripod, but how do you beat Alabama? Like, is there a formula that you have to find at the bottom of the ocean? Do you have to collect 7 Dragon Balls to find the formula as to how to beat the 2018 Alabama Crimson Tide? Like, does somebody know out there? Like, what is Clemson going to do against Alabama? What is Georgia gonna do with the SEC championship? If Notre Dame or Michigan has to play these people, like, what are they possibly going to do? This is the most dominant system in college football since the U of the 80s. Now, I'm not sure if Alabama could actually go against the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, just given the sheer number of draft picks and the storied careers they've had over the years. But I think Alabama definitely comes close to that. I think that this is a system unlike anything we've ever seen. Just the consistency. They were talking about it on CBS, the number of wins that Nick Saban has had against top 5 opponents, not just top 15, top 5. Top 5, I think it was like 21 with Alabama. That's the most any coach has had with one school in college football history. And college football turns 150 years old next year. That's a lot of history. I haven't been able to bring myself to look at the stat sheet tonight because I know it's overwhelmingly in the Tide's favor because, again, they rolled over LSU as they have with most of their opponents. I think this was the biggest challenge for them because LSU did get a couple sacks in early. And even when they didn't have Devin White in the first half, they still held Alabama to 17 points at the half. And Tua had to play in the fourth quarter in spite of having a bum knee. I think the only thing that will stop Alabama is injuries. If the injuries are chronic, if the injuries affect a player's psyche mentally, if injuries take players out for the season, I think that's the only thing that can stop Alabama. Now, that's not something I personally want. I never wish injuries on any player because I've seen what injuries do to people And I've seen how that affects them, not only for the rest of their seasons, but, you know, as life goes on, because, you know, you still have to recover after the season. But I think that's the one thing that can stop Alabama. And honestly, even with injuries, I still think that Alabama would be at least a 21-point favorite in the national championship. There will come a day where we won't see Alabama in the college football playoff for the first time ever. I think that year will be like 2025 or something. But that's going to be a very interesting and kind of somber year. As much as the fangirl in me does not like Alabama for obvious reasons. Nick Saban was LSU's coach for that 2003 national championship team, went to coach for the Dolphins, and then when he returns to college football, of all the teams on earth, he goes to a division rival in Alabama. But what Nick Saban has been able to do with a storied program like the Alabama Crimson Tide is unbelievable. I don't think that we should take it for granted. And when that day comes, when Alabama is not in the top 4, years down the road, we're going to look back on these times and remember our reactions and how we lived through these moments and just reminisce on the sheer dominance of the Crimson Tide. I think LSU is going to make a New Year's Six Bowl. They're just having an incredible season, just given the uncertainties going into this season. But once again, it's going to be Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship. I actually thought Kentucky had a chance. But, you know, UGA, they proved that they're very strong on the road. And I think having that slap in the face against LSU helped them a lot in getting to the SEC championship. I think later on in the week, I'm going to make some conference championship predictions. We already know who's going to the SEC championship because Alabama and Georgia have the best records in their division. But in terms of the ACC, Pac-12, Big Ten, and Big 12, and maybe the group of 5 conferences if I have some time, I'll put those predictions out. In the meantime, on Sundays at 9 a.m., I usually post my AP Top 25 predictions for the week. I'm starting to do CFP Top 25 predictions now that we are in the college football playoff rankings portion of the season. So be on the lookout for that on Tumblr and Twitter and the like. I just had to get this off my chest because, as you can see, I am wearing the jersey of the losing team with pride. But whatever. Forever LSU. Go Tigers.